Okay, hello everybody. Another message just popped into my head as I'm sitting outside getting some nice sun, and I remembered that everything is functioning as one, as a unit, as a whole entire system, right? So I'm sitting outside, it's the spring time is here, flowers are blooming, blah blah blah. The sun is out and I'm soaking up the sun and I'm like getting a tan fast. Like look, can you even see how quick that sun is like bringing that melanin out? Okay. um so yeah, what was the point? The point was I just remembered everything is working like a system. And if you think about your body, and last video I talked about how you rise in your consciousness and you essentially move where you're located in the body, your physical body. You resonate differently within inside of the body, right? The same thing applies as I'm sitting outside and I'm witnessing how nature and everything else is a system as a whole. And it simply might be common sense, but these things come in as memories, as like, oh, a gentle reminder that we are living in a literal body, us on earth. And I seen this video the other day and they're talking about how, oh, some astronauts are trying to give you a greater perspective of what they get to witness. I'm by a middle school, so there's some crazy screams. The astronauts are trying to get people to understand their perspective of zooming all the way out and seeing Earth from such a far distance and realizing like we are all together and we need to get through this together. There's a lot of messaging. What I've been picking up, the media that I've been seeing is like, we're together. We need to push this togetherness. We are in this together. We are living in a body. They're not using those words, but I'm interpreting it as we are in this body together. We need to learn how to function as one. You see the currents, streams, water, all of those things as like your bloodstream, your lymphatic system. I was just in Guadalupe and climbing this rock that looked like a literal tooth being ejected out of the earth. But then when they go into detail, I'm veering off a little, but they go into detail and they talk about how that rock came about is just because of volcano eruptions and it pushed, like it ejected that rock. All of that to say, it's very symbolic and probably literal to suggest that just how that rock is pushing out of the earth from an eruption is the same way that a tooth gets pushed through a mouth. Hence the whole body thing, blah. You see what I'm saying? I hope you're following that part. But just as a reminder, as I'm sitting here and I was thinking about the things that I want and the things that I want, what I would like to attract now, and I'm like thinking, one side of me is like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. The other side is there's no sense of urgency. You need to slow down. You need to just let the things come to you, because what do you represent inside of the body? You and your function. When you look at the biosystem, if you were to get a microscope and look at everything close up in detail, and you're seeing how things function and how cells are moving about and they join with others to create this bigger organism, or are you cancerous and you're joining with other cancer cells you see what I'm saying? So just like zooming out and realizing who I am, what's my function within this larger system, and then realizing what that system is in whole, it just made me zoom back out and say, I don't gotta do shit. I don't gotta do much. I don't gotta do nothing. So sitting here outside, coming to that conclusion, that memory, and then getting a message on my phone like, oh, I got this opportunity for you real quick. And I was thinking, oh, I should reach out to this person. I should press harder. I should make sure they know that I'm very serious. I want them to like take me serious. Where it's like, you don't got to do nothing. You know, you do got to do something. You put out the intention, you make a decision. But within due time, that thing just comes to you naturally. And that's what I choose to believe. And that's what I choose to realize happens within the body. And I'm a part of this bigger body that also just attracts what it needs. Okay? And if we're just talking about Earth being a cell in a body and then going inside and inside and inside until we see these little organisms that we call humans down here walking and talking and communicating and meeting up with each other and doing all these things. That's where we get the frequencies and things that you match and you resonate. You're going to resonate and you're going to be in areas just like me being here. I'm not usually here, but something brought me to this space to sit and get the information that I needed. And it was just a natural occurrence. Wrapping it up, this is short. It's just a point to say, put out your intentions. Remember where you are. Remember who you are. Remember the whole purpose at hand. Zoom outside of yourself and have more than a bird's eye view. You know, a bird can only fly so high. It's only in this system. But if you can go further beyond with your imagination and you can remember who you are and how you had to travel here as an energy source and, you know, stay grounded with the thoughts. You know, we don't have to get all majestic with the shit. Doesn't have to get majestic and weird and unrealistic, but just grounding yourself back in science and look at the body and remember your functions. And that might help you have an easier flow to your day, flow to your life, period, where it's like that sense of urgency is not really needed. Because I was just talking to my cousin the other day and he's like telling me how he got to the point where he is now comfortable making more than enough money where he can put family on salaries and all these things. But what led him was just a series of steps that led to one thing after another. And he didn't have to try so hard for the next thing to come about. This all seems like common sense, but of course, if it was so common, then everybody would be just functioning perfect. And the system would be perfect. And we'd be in a utopia. That's not the case. So hopefully this resonates with who it needs to resonate with. And you just remember, you don't have to try so hard to be yourself. You already came here as yourself. Remember how much source energy you had as a child. Get back to that energy. You don't have to act childish. Just the childlikeness, the energy source that you are. Move with that. Remember that. And you will attract the things that are necessary for your path. And reject the negative thoughts that don't align with you. Constantly move to the places that align with you. So the shit gets real simplistic. And it's just kind of like overcomplicating things makes it just ridiculous. Makes it seem like, what was the whole point of thinking so hard? But if you just kind of And I'm telling myself this, of course, you know. We just get back to the simple basics. Like, you are a source of energy that came here to inhabit a body, and you're inside of a body that's functioning inside of another body, just like those Russian dolls. And we see the simulations over and over again of the same thing, the same information. And just like the body has to filter out its toxins, its waste, and then it has its source energy that keeps it alive. Are you a part of that, or are you a part of something toxic? Simple. And your daily decisions kind of coincide with that information. But once you start getting clouded with other things, that's when it's like mucus in the body and it's slowing it down, and you have to hack it up, and hopefully you get it all, but you don't. And then next thing you know, your fat cells and you're just being stored in the bottom regions of the body. So anyways, take that and do what you want. I'm going to continue yapping on this page. Please be encouraged to comment and whatever you want. But there's that.